very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Prime Minister Frundell Stewart is calling for an end to the war between the Ministry of Education and the Barbados Union of Teachers. He says that the door for dialogue must be kept open. The Prime Minister touched on the issues last night at a Democratic Labour Party branch meeting in St. Peter. Shane Seeley has the details.
Saying he's been asked many questions about the impasse, Prime Minister Frundell Stewart used the DLP branch meeting at the All Saints Training Centre in Mile and a Quarter to weigh in on the rift between the Education Ministry and the Barbados Union of Teachers. He's given a vote of confidence to the Minister Ronald Jones and the Education Ministry to resolve the matter, but he says both the union and the ministry have a job to do.
The taking of extreme positions is not going to get us very far in our challenges. The door to dialogue must be kept open. Respect on both sides of any divide must be maintained, and in this case I'm talking about the divide between the Ministry of Education and the trade union movement, the Barbados Union of Teachers and the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union. And everything must not be elevated to the status of a war.
His call comes after hundreds of teachers heeded a call by the BUT to attend a meeting in Queen's Park last Wednesday with the hope of securing an audience with Education Minister Ronald Jones. Then BUT President Pedro Shepherd said their action is not about personalities, but rather issues affecting teachers. One of the key issues is violence in schools and the much publicized fight between a student and a teacher at the Ellerslie Secondary School. Prime Minister Stewart says there needs to be better management of relationships in schools to address the challenges facing the education system. But he also believes the problems facing schools today are no worse than they were in years past.
I don't want us to get too panicky and believe that somehow things are changing for the worse. It is true that the things that are happening now are getting much more publicity, because that area of our national life has changed. So these things are getting much more publicity now than they got in my day. But I taught at a school in St. Philip where I saw a student pull a scissors on a teacher. Well, that never made the front page of any newspaper, or didn't make any news headline, because those matters were dealt with internally.
And he's warning Barbadians about solely blaming children for problems facing society. He says adopting this approach would take Barbados down the wrong path.
Children do not run homes. They don't run schools either. And if we have reached the stage where we can blame them for almost everything happening around us, it means that there has been a forfeiting of our responsibilities as adults, and that the children can no longer look to us as they should be able to do. So I want us to back off of this tendency I'm hearing nowadays about the children this and the children that, and the students this and the students that.
Prime Minister Stewart says government has staked too much on education to allow minor infractions to offset the gains made since independence. Shane Seeley, CBC News.
Well, Prime Minister Stewart wants the European Union to avoid any repeat of last year when the island was blacklisted by the European Commission. He was speaking at an event this morning to mark the unveiling of a plaque to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the opening of an EU office here in Barbados. Mr. Stewart says the 2015 listing of Barbados among other countries as an uncooperative tax jurisdiction was surprising. The Prime Minister adds that reports suggest the prospect of another listing looms in the wake of the so-called Panama Papers.
I trust that this will not materialize, and that the European Union has by now recognized that the financial services sector is a vital element of the economies of a number of Caribbean countries, touching their very existence. Harm to that sector unleashes a sequel of negative economic and social impacts on our development efforts, which cannot easily be repaired, and which undermine legitimate initiatives at alternative options for development to replace those of old.
Mrs. Stewart also notes that Barbados and the Caribbean have benefited significantly from their partnership with the European Union. Also making that point is EU Ambassador Michael Barford. He notes that the EU has provided close to 200 million euros in assistance to Barbados and just over 3 billion euros regionally. Ambassador Barford says going forward, the assistance will have more of a regional focus.
In the future, the partnership will be further defined by a more regional agenda, as national grants will gradually be replaced by regional integration support. Also, substantial aid to overseas countries and territories of France, UK and the Netherlands, and the huge EU aid to its outermost French regions and the Caribbean has positive potential for the entire region.
Well, Barbados has officially awarded its latest oil exploration block to Spanish company Repsol SA. In a brief ceremony at Ilara Court this afternoon, Prime Minister Frondell Stewart handed over the documents to Repsol's Executive Vice President, Joseba Morillas. Mr. Stewart says the awarding of the contract to begin the exploration of the Black Belly offshore block is part of government strategy to build sustainability. He adds that Barbados expects only the highest operating standards from that company.
The ongoing effort to develop the offshore sector is, however, not simply about generating revenue or diversifying the economy, but is also an opportunity to make a lasting contribution towards the social, professional, and educational development of the Barbadian people. The government and people of Barbados will expect no less than the highest commitment to the preservation and protection of our coastal and marine environment, to human resource development in the sector, as well as to the development of the communities in which Repsol will operate.
Meantime, Mr. Morillas says Repsol has a track record of excellence within the region.
For Repsol, the last 10 years, we have been one of the most successful companies in oil and gas exploration worldwide, in terms both of discoveries, but also in the amount of investment and effort we have put into exploration. We have a very strong presence in the Caribbean. We currently have exploration operations in Guyana, Trinidad, Aruba, Venezuela and Colombia. We've drilled wells even up to the north in Nicaragua. So we have an extensive knowledge of the region, and also a number of people and equipment deployed in the area.
Well, the Transport Board is responding to complaints from the public about the long wait for buses, and officials say they've taken the first step to get more buses back into service. Shane Seeley has the story.
With at least 25% of the Transport Board's fleet out of order at any given time and no new buses on the horizon, management has charted a new course to improve bus availability. One of the main reasons why the more than 10-year-old buses have broken down is because of a fuel pump issue. And that's why the board has brought in this new tool called a fuel injection test pump to specifically fix this problem. Today, the media was invited to a training seminar led by a specialist out of the UK for the board's mechanics and students from the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic to learn about using the new equipment. Corporate Communications Manager Linda Holder says it's a step in the right direction.
The actual percentage of the fleet that is defective varies. We have a situation where a bus might be working this morning and then it will become defective tomorrow for brakes. So an ongoing number is hard to give you, but on average we can say maybe at any given time maybe a quarter of our fleet is defective, and then you then look at what those numbers are made up of. So as Mr. Codrington and Mr. Wiltshire was stressing, this particular piece of equipment will only address one of our challenges. And there are other things that we have in the pipeline to address the other challenges. But we wanted the public to understand we've been hearing their cries, and we are seeking to address them step by step. It's going to be a systematic approach.
Meanwhile, Quality Assurance Manager Sylvan Codrington says it's also about ensuring public safety.
Safety comes first within the Transport Board. We do not in any way try to put our units on the road unless they are ample condition. So normally the drivers are trained And if they find anything malfunctioning, they return the bus to the workshop. That's where sometimes we get the buses coming off the road. And that has to do with driver training, because we do not allow our drivers to continue to drive buses that are anywhere on roadworthy.
Now, Transport Board officials are not expecting any new buses anytime soon because the authority is strapped for cash. But they will be fixing the problem systematically so that more buses will become available over time for the public. I'm Shane Seeley for CBC News.
Government advisor on poverty, Undine Whitaker, is continuing her mission to get youngsters involved in agriculture. Ms. Whitaker is doing this through the Youth in Agriculture program. The initiative, which is in its 9th phase, had its opening ceremony today at the Grisettes Community Center. Ms. Whitaker says the program continues to expand its impact and has had the potential to achieve even more.
This Youth in Agriculture program has the potential for energizing a cadre of youth in worthwhile activity and, of course, ensuring that the agricultural industry continues to be replete with skilled and knowledgeable youth who will carry on the noble industry of our nation.
She acknowledged that the program's focus is not all about agriculture, but also teaching the participants life skills.
Apart from the knowledge which will be given by the skilled officers from the Ministry of Agriculture, a significant body of life skills will also be shared with you from experienced counselors who have a story to tell. These valuable lessons will assist you in making the right choices and will serve as opportunities to help you to think carefully as you become older and wiser.
Meantime, Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, placed special attention on the role of the parents of the participants.
I would like to make a special appeal to parents to support these young people who will be joining the program and assist in ensuring that they're able to benefit from the knowledge and skills imparted. Let us not just focus attention on the small stipend which will be received, but on the valuable insight it will provide to the world of work and the discipline it will provide to these young people.
Well, Barbados is among the countries set to benefit from a new generation of satellite technology being rolled out over the next 5 years. A variety of advanced technology developed in Japan, Russia, the United States, China, Korea, and Europe will provide data that will enable local and regional meteorologists to interpret data in a more comprehensive way. Now, experts who will use and train others in this technology are attending a week-long meeting at the Husband St. James campus of the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology. Participants represented Brazil, Australia, Korea, Kenya, Morocco and South Africa, Argentina, and the United States. The Barbadian representative was Chief of Meteorology at the Institute, Kathy Ann Caesar. She says once Barbados begins to receive data, the ability to forecast and monitor climate change will be greatly enhanced.
We could actually see exactly where clouds develop almost instantaneously. And so then we can put that data into our models, and that will help forecasting. Also, in terms of the environmental use, we're looking at things that how we can use satellite data to monitor, for example, drought, vegetation usage, brush fires across the world. We already do that, and that information again can help us in utilizing how climate change is actually happening and inform mitigation actions going forward.
Stefan Boginski of the World Meteorology Organization, which is sponsoring the meeting, says it also acts to strengthen relations between the organizations represented and to share best practices. He says the technology will come in handy to track the strength and direction of hurricanes and other natural disasters.
The new satellites have like a camera, they have an imager on board, and the camera has 3 channels, red, green, blue, to give you a colored image. But these satellites have 16 channels, so they can see what's happening not only in the range that we as humans see with our own eyes, but also in the infrared, which we cannot see with our own eyes.
Barbadian international singing superstar Rihanna has launched a need-based scholarship program for college students through her Clara Lionel Foundation. The new program will award scholarships ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 to qualified international and U.S. students that have been admitted to a 4-year U.S. college. To be eligible, applicants must be a resident of the U.S., Barbados, Cuba, Brazil, Jamaica, Guyana, or Haiti. The application process is open until June 10th, when a committee will then select the recipients from a pool of about 50 finalists. Rihanna told USA Today she was thrilled to give back to society, and to be able to give the gift of an education is actually an honor. She noted that higher education will help provide opportunities and learning to a group of kids who really deserve it. Well, coming up, we'll give you the Barbados Employers Confederation take on how the economic downturn is impacting businesses. Stay with us.
Sun power on water systems.
I had some problems with my solar water heater. The collectors was leaking. I called the original agency and said, well, they can't do anything about it because the system is bad and they will have to install a new system. I didn't hear back from them. Then I called Sun Power. For me, I went to Monday, paid some money, and by Thursday it was on.
Get your Sun power.
Play and win the $40,000 jackpot. The new instant scratch game with 15 chances to win on every ticket. Top prize of $40,000 and thousands of prizes from $5 up to $500.
At MCTV, our customers mean the world to us, and that's why we're inviting you to visit us at BMX 2016 during our Customer Appreciation Weekend. Come meet our team, participate in the fun activities we planned just for you, and win fun prizes too. If you're not a part of the MCTV family, you can still visit us because sign up is absolutely free. And if you sign up for an additional box, you get 50% off the first 2 months. Special conditions apply. MCTV, the right choice.
Some former National Conservation Commission workers who were made redundant are being represented in both the Employment Rights Tribunal cases brought by the National Union of Public Workers and the Barbados Workers Union. And that was one of the first matters dealt with when the latest case that was brought by the BWU began today. The case involving the NUPW has already been heard and is awaiting a decision. When the BWU's case started, counsel for the NCC Mitch Codrington raised objection to the approximately 20 workers who are apparently party to both actions.
It seems to me that if I'm out here to get the fund, I'm going to get the fund, and those persons that are parties to the suit, and the suit has gone down, that they're parties to that suit. I don't see how it seems just that they should be parties to the other suit, making, as you said, the same kind of claims. I would differ with that. But making the same kind of claims in another suit on the same matter doesn't seem to make a lot of legal sense to me.
Well, Tribunal Chairman Hal Gollop QC says the situation is not prejudicial nor fatal to the case.
The issue comes down to duplicity of remedies. He cannot get remedies from both sets of representation. But you cannot deny the man the representation which was offered to him as a member of the National Union of Public Workers, and you can't deny him the right of representation of membership to the BWU if the rules and the regulations under which the employer operates allowed for representation by two unions.
Concern tonight about the number of family feuds ending up in the law courts in recent times. It's a trend that Social Care Minister Steve Blackett says needs urgent attention. He says it's more evidence of the breakdown of the family unit in Barbados, and is calling on Barbadians to take stock. Minister Blackett made these comments recently during an award ceremony at Restoration Ministries International, where the occasion was also used to launch the month of evangelism.
There have been a few recent instances where members of the same family here in Barbados who found themselves before the law courts for a variety of infractions, leading to the belief that we seem to be losing the sense of pride that was formerly associated with honoring the family name. The saying goes, you can pick your friends, but you certainly cannot pick your family. Now, we should also remember and also again seek to as a family unit to strive to maintain, to restore, or honors to our names, for them to become synonymous with positive acts as opposed to notorious and nefarious deeds.
Government is on target to achieve better health for all by 2020 as mandated by the United Nations. Health Minister John Boyce gave the assurance yesterday during a service at the Pegwell Community Church, marking the start of Nurses Week 2016.
This is the mandate of the United Nations in accepting internationally the new Sustainable Development Goals which we have set for the world. And of course, the achievement of these targets will guarantee not only health coverage, but would guarantee health access for Barbadians.
The Barbados Employers Confederation says the prolonged period of economic recession has taken a toll on businesses and employment levels. And according to President Ian Gooden-Edgell, the worrying trend continues. He provided the assessment during a press briefing to launch its week of activities at its Dalkeith headquarters.
All sectors of our economy continue to be challenged because of the shrinking disposable incomes of consumers, reduction in the demand for goods, rise in operating costs for businesses, and anemic performance due to the lack of major capital works. This has caused unemployment levels to creep upwards. The crucial tourism sector continues to report increased arrivals but short stays on the island.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the BEC, Tony Walcott, says the week will be held under the theme Keys to Sustainable Development, Consultation, Dialogue and the Green Framework. He adds that in the current economic and industrial relations climate, consultation and dialogue will play a key role in the island's sustainability.
To this end, we saw it fit to develop a theme that fosters this nature of discussion. As part of our process of engagement, on Tuesday, May 10th, 2016, Chairman of Sagicor Financial Corporation, Mr. Stephen McNamara, will be presenting on the topic, Consultation and Cooperation towards National Economic and Social Development. This will happen at our AGM luncheon at the Barbados Hilton.
A 24-year-old Green St. George man has been remanded to Dodge Prison on drug charges. This after Jamal Elliott appeared in the District A Magistrates Court. Elliott was charged with possession of cannabis, importation, possession with intent to supply, and trafficking cannabis. On May 5th, customs officers seized a consigned barrel containing 6.8 pounds of cannabis. Further investigations by the drug squad led to Elliott's arrest, and he is due to reappear in court on June 3rd. Well, as St. James continues to host the commemorative Trident this month, residents of Weston got their chance to be up close and personal with it. The opportunity arose as the St. James Parish Independence Committee held a breadfruit roast and lying next to John Moore Bar. As expected, there were several roasted breadfruit served with a wide array of meats, including pigtails. Parish Ambassador Regina Hines says the event was geared at encouraging community spirit at the grassroots level.
This came up last year. PIC group recognized that here on Western on Fridays, the fishermen will usually roast breadfruit and scale fish. So we didn't want to, laze out anybody. We just came out, have a community outreach program, and take their idea of roasting breadfruit and encourage them today to come out and to support us.
Meantime, her male counterpart, Ambassador Kemar Blackman, gave a snapshot of the other upcoming fundraising events, including a 25-cent concert.
It's like do or dare. When you spin a bottle and like somebody dare you and you don't want to do, you get cuffed. But it's something like that. The only thing you get barriers, somebody barriers you to sing the 25-cent concert now. And if you don't sing it, well, you probably got to pay 25 cents for that day for not singing the concert.
Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region.
BMX 2016, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.